Hi, Bishop Barron. This is Mary from Minnesota. Thank you for your good work. I am calling to ask, does the Catholic Church teach that the Holy Spirit has a gender?
What you're about to listen to is Bishop Barron's response to the question, does God have a gender? Does the Holy Spirit have a gender? Does Jesus have a gender? What is the gender of the Trinity? This is a really interesting question, one that I have thought about in the past. Perhaps you have too. So let's check out what the brilliant Bishop Barron has to say on the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question. The answer obviously is no. God is a spirit. God's not material, and gender is associated with our bodies. And so God doesn't have a gender. God is not male or female.
All right. First, really big response here. Straightforward to the point. Does God have a gender? According to Bishop Barron and the teaching of the Catholic Church, no, God doesn't have a gender. The reason why, it's really interesting, I think it makes sense. It says, God is a spirit. He is not material. Okay, I can agree with that. I agree with that. He is not material. So gender is associated with our bodies, which are material. So therefore, God is not male or female. He doesn't have a gender. But I just refer to God as he. And you probably did too, or do too, in your everyday life. Let's continue watching the rest of this video, and Bishop Barron's going to go into details of why do we refer to God as he if he does not have a gender.
Now that begs the question, how come we use, pronouns? We use the he, him pronoun when talking about God. The classical answer is that God, who's actus purus, right, pure act, God who's the creator, God's the one who generates and gives rise to the world. God is that reality which can never be receptive, right? A creature can't affect God as though God is moved by a creature. So classically speaking, we associate the male with the generative side of a sexual act, the female with a receptive side. And I think that's why in the Bible and the Greek tradition, we associate the masculine pronoun with God.
Okay, second really big idea here that I think it's important for everybody who's interested in God to kind of understand is his point. So why do we use the pronoun of he? And in the classical sense, the male and female in the sexual act, there's the generator and the receptor. The male is the one who's generating, and the female is the receptive part. So we refer to God as he because he is what is creating. He is the creator, and he is making the creative, generative act. And like Bishop Barron just said, it's not God is not a being as if you can do something to him, and he is going to there's something that's going to happen to his essence, to his being. It is God that is doing the generating, that is doing the creating. He is the generator of the world, and the male is the generative form in the sexual act, and the female is the receptive form in the sexual act. So which is why we have traditionally and classically in our society and in the tradition of the church referred to God as he.
Now, to say that is by no means to imply that we can't use metaphors for God that are more feminine. So the Bible indeed talks about God in a more maternal way and as a hen and so on, and nursing with delight at her breasts and this sort of thing. Fine. I think we can say God is like a woman. God is like a mother, because God is beyond anything creaturely. So we reach for all sorts of metaphors to describe God.
Really interesting point and interesting concept that Bishop Barron brings up here, saying that it's because we classically refer to God as he does not mean that we cannot use other metaphors or ways to describe God. And he's talking about how we refer to God as loving his children as a mother and a hen and protecting his children. There's another famous reference in the Bible where it says that God, how can God forget you? As a mother, how can a mother forget her child? Describing that mother can never forget her child. That's the way that God can never forget you, can never forget his children. So we can use the female reference and the female pronoun, the gender, to describe what God is like. And I think kind of to kind of even broaden this out a little bit, to say that you can see how in our society this kind of just plays out naturally. How do we refer to nature? We refer to it as Mother Nature, right? And that Mother Nature is not God. What is God? God is the creator of the world, the creator of the universe. And he is able to bring in to the world through Mother Nature all of his creation. Kind of male, God is the male creator, generator, and the world, Mother Nature, is the womb where all of that creation is gestated and then brought into being to this physical realm. And I think that's really important to remember, because in our society today, we often find ourselves and find people who have come to worship Mother Nature, the worship of Gaia, the creation, worshiping the creation and everything that we have here, instead of worshiping the Creator, which is God. Important thing to think about. But I think this is an interesting kind of way we can think about the difference between God, the Creator, and Earth, the world, Mother Nature. God, the Creator, He; Mother Nature, the world, feminine, she. And God is able, as a creator, to bring in his creation into the world through the womb of Mother Nature.
To use the masculine pronouns about God is by no means to be anti-woman, or to say that, we're deifying the male gender and all that stuff. That's not the case at all. But I would say, strictly speaking, no person of the Trinity has a gender, because God is beyond the physical.
Two big points here that I want to discuss in this last part. First off is that where Bishop Barron says, by referencing God as he, referring to God as he, it's by no means belittling the female gender. Right now in our society, there's a lot of people that say that the patriarchy is bad. The patriarchy needs to be overthrown, and that it's toxic masculinity, and that men have established this patriarchy to rule and dominate over women, and that it's tyrannical. And this reference to God as he is not at all supportive of such a claim. And saying that the patriarchy is responsible for why we call God he, and that patriarchy is bad at all in general, but that it needs to be overthrown, and that this is an example because of it, which is often something that people might say, especially on the feminist side of arguments, and people who advocate for the feminism mentality, is that the patriarchy has looked to dominate women, and this is an example of it, that they refer to God as he and not she. And that's not at all what is happening here as we refer to God as he. The second thing that he says is that no person of the Trinity has a gender, because God is beyond the physical. Now, this is interesting, because I think you need to add a caveat there to say it depends on what time the Trinity was around. Well, the Trinity was around at all times and is infinite and is ever present and omnipresent. But at one point, there was a part of the Trinity that was incarnate, and that was the time in which Jesus was alive. And Jesus became fully God and fully man. And if Jesus was fully God and fully man, when he was fully man, he had a gender, and he was a he. We know Jesus to be a male. So that statement that no part of the Trinity has a gender, I think would be incorrect when it comes to when God was incarnate and lived among humans and was living his life as Jesus Christ in the world in Israel. Now, you can say that there is another part of the Trinity, and that's after Jesus was ascended. And when Jesus ascended into heaven, that he now went from this realm, the physical realm, the world that we live in, to a greater, higher realm, the realm of the spiritual and the realm of heaven. And actually, it's really interesting. There's a video that different sermons that Bishop Barron has done talking about this very aspect of the ascension and the different realms that are part of that the different realms that are part of the ascension, how Jesus ascended to heaven. And I think that's an important thing to distinguish here, because that can be misleading and needs to be clarified, because Jesus at one point was incarnate. God was incarnate in the form of Jesus Christ and walked among us men and was a male. So there was a point at which a part of the Trinity was male. All right, so I really hope that you like this video and this discussion. Does God have a gender? The answer is no. But maybe at one point he did. If you like this video, please like it, please subscribe. And I really encourage you to also check out Bishop Barron's video and his YouTube channel. He has incredible resources. I mean, he's the granddaddy of them all when it comes to online evangelization and just a lot of theological, philosophical concepts. Really incredible resource for anybody who's interested in theological, philosophical matters and Christ, the church. Let's check out his Word on Fire show. The Word on Fire show is a really cool show. I've watched a lot of the episodes. The clip that this came from is from the episode, The Rise and the Fall of the New Atheism. It's a really interesting episode if you're interested in the atheistic movement in our society, in the world, and its history. I encourage you to check it out. I hope you like this video, and see you in the next one. God bless you.